I wanted to be a surgeon. Now I just drink my own blood to feel okay. I can still feel the iron coating the back of my throat. Don't get any stupid ideas. I don't sparkle in the sun, and I sure as shit don't sleep in a coffin. This isn't some gothic romance. This is about what happens when you stare too long into the machinery of the human body and realize a part of it is calling to you. It started when I was a surgical tech in training. My dream was the scalpel. I wanted to be the one inside, hands steady, fixing the broken architecture of people. I spent hundreds of hours in the OR, a ghost in green scrubs, anticipating the surgeon's next move, passing clamps and sponges, my eyes glued to the glistening field of the open body. The smell of an operating room is something you never forget. It's a sterile, chemical sharpness layered over the coppery, primal scent of life itself. And for me, that's where it began. Not with some grand, gushing artery, but with a single drop of blood. During a routine appendectomy, a tiny bead welled up from a cauterized vessel and landed on my latex glove. It was perfect. A tiny convex jewel of deep, impossible red against the sterile blue. I stared at it. The surgeon, Dr. Alistair, barked for a hemostat, and I almost didn't hear him. The whole world had shrunk to that single, shimmering drop. It wasn't just blood. It was potential. It was potential. It was fuel. The very essence of the person lying unconscious on the table, captured in a perfect little sphere. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. How it held the heat of the body. How it carried oxygen, fought disease, contained the blueprint of a person. It was a holy fluid, and we were all just vessels designed to carry it for a few decades. The curiosity became an itch, then a burn. I started with my own. Phlebotomy was my favorite rotation for a reason. I knew the angle, the veins, the precise pressure. I liberated butterfly needles, vacuotainers, alcohol swabs, and a few IV bags from the hospital supply closets. My apartment bathroom became a sterile field. I was meticulous. I'm not an idiot. I knew the risks of infection, of air embolisms. This wasn't a reckless act. It was research. An experiment with a sample size of one. I'd eat a meal fit for a blood donor first. Steak, spinach, fortified everything. Then, I'd sit on the edge of my tub, find the cephalic vein in my arm, and watch as my own life force swirled into the collection bag. The color was fascinating. Dark, almost black, starved of oxygen until it met the air. I'd label each bag with a date and time, and store them in a small chest freezer I bought specifically for the project, lined up like crimson bricks. I told myself it was for science, to understand hematology on a fundamental level. But my performance at the hospital started to slip. I'd get lost watching the steady drip in a transfusion line. I'd stare at the red-soaked gauze in the biohazard bin with a feeling that bordered on reverence. It wasn't a dramatic bust. There was no video of me stuffing syringes into my pockets. It was quieter, more clinical. The department head, a sharp woman named Dr. Sharma, called me into her office. She didn't mince words. "Casimir," she said, folding her hands on her pristine desk, "your focus isn't where it needs to be. Dr. Alistair has noted several instances of distraction. You've been missing cues. Your attention seems to be on the blood loss, not the procedure." My heart hammered against my ribs. She pushed a printout across the desk. An inventory report from the blood bank. There are also discrepancies, small ones. A bag of O-neg here, a unit of plasma there. Things that are easy to miscount, until they form a pattern. She knew. She didn't know what, but she knew. I was a liability. A surgeon needs a mind like a diamond, hard and clear. Mine was becoming a murky red swamp. I didn't argue. I just nodded, took off my hospital ID, and placed it on her desk. The walk home was the longest of my life. My career, my entire future, bled out on the pavement behind me. I didn't even look at my collection kit when I got back to my apartment. I went straight for the 6-pack of cheap lager in the fridge and started drinking. I drank until the edges of the room got soft and my failure didn't feel so sharp. By the 8th beer, I was swaying in the middle of my kitchen, a bitter, hollowed-out thing. My eyes landed on the chest freezer, my project, my failure, my collection. A thought, thick and syrupy with alcohol, sloshed through my mind. All that work for nothing. I stumbled over and lifted the lid. The cold air ghosted my face. There they were, my little soldiers. My life, portioned out and frozen in time. What a fucking waste, I slurred to the empty room. I grabbed the oldest bag. It was hard as a rock. The plastic crinkled under my fingers. It felt heavier than I remembered. Sacred. I ran it under warm water in the sink, watching the frost melt and the contents slowly liquefy. The motion was hypnotic. Back and forth, back and forth. This is where humanity gets it wrong, I thought, my drunken brain trying to form a grand philosophy. We worship gods in the sky. We should be worshiping this. The stuff right inside us. The bag was cold and pliable now. I took a scalpel from my old training kit, the steel cool and familiar in my hand. No glass. No ceremony. This wasn't a toast. This was a reclamation. I slit the corner of the bag and the smell hit me. Not metallic and airy like fresh blood, but deeper. Thicker. The smell of iron and salt and something else. Something uniquely me. I lifted the bag to my lips. The first mouthful was a shock. It was cold. So fucking cold. And thick, like syrup. It coated my tongue, my teeth. It wasn't the taste of a cut finger. It was concentrated. It was pure. I swallowed. Then I took another, bigger gulp. I tilted my head back, squeezing the bag, pouring my own life down my throat. I drained the whole thing. Then I stood there, in the silent, shitty kitchen, the plastic bag limp in my hand. The alcoholic haze in my head didn't just recede, it shattered. The burning in my cheeks vanished. My feet felt planted on the floor. The world snapped into ultra-high definition. I wasn't drunk anymore. I wasn't sad. I was balanced. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt completely, utterly, and terrifyingly whole. I woke up the next morning with no hangover. I remembered everything, and I wanted more. I work as a night stalker at a grocery store now. The irony isn't lost on me. I spend my nights under fluorescent lights handling packaged, processed things. But when I get home just before the sun comes up, I have my ritual. It's the one thing that keeps me sane. The one thing that makes me feel like I haven't lost everything. Maybe I did. Maybe I lost the life I was supposed to have. But I found something else. I can't say I can't stop. I have no desire to. Why would I? Every other night, I am simply returning to myself what was already mine. It's my own blood. It's my life coming home to me.